G'day there guys, Markee here, also known as the voice in the back of your head. Back at it again with another episode of r/Am I the A-hole. Now if you love today's content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a like on the video, and tell me what you think about it down in the comments. Posted by user AmiTheA, titled, Am I the A-hole for not showing up to pick up my stepdaughter at school one time after she made me wait countless times? Obligatory disclaimer, this happened about a year ago. So this is an ongoing issue that has driven me and my husband apart, and I'm worried may threaten our marriage down the road. Looking for some unbiased responses. I have a teenage stepdaughter, 13, from my husband. She's been living with us for 3 years now, and there's still growing pains. She doesn't trust me fully, and continues to act out against my authority in any and all forms. So last year, around this time, my husband was overseas attending to his uncle's funeral and managing family affairs. It was just me and stepdaughter for about 3 weeks, with me cooking, cleaning, driving her around. I was supposed to pick her up from school at 3 p.m. every day. Given the schedule, it would mean leaving the home around 2:30 and not getting back until around 3:30 to 4. I'm a freelancer, so while my schedule is flexible, I don't have endless free time. In the first week, she was constantly late. Like, I'd wait an hour, and she wouldn't show up until 3:45. I was furious, and told her so, but she would roll her eyes at me. Anyways, I was fed up and just decided to leave her there for a bit one day and let her sweat. I just didn't turn up. I waited until around 7 to 8 p.m. and then called her mobile phone, expecting to hear her apologetic. No response. I called the school and they say they saw her walk home at around 3:30 p.m. At this point, I'm worried and I start calling neighbors and the local authorities. After hours of calling and searching, we find her in a random backyard in another neighborhood. She tried taking shortcuts home through people's backyards, but got bit by someone's unleashed dog. Her leg was bleeding, but nothing broken, so she just sat down and cried once her phone died. Long story short, when my husband woke up that day, he was furious at me and called me all sorts of names. He flew back that night and we had a big fight over it. Ever since then, we've had family therapy, but my stepdaughter openly resents me and blames me for her scarred-up leg. My husband thinks the blame falls solely on me as well, and refuses to hear out my complaints about her. I just feel unheard and frustrated, and yes, things had spun out of control, but I still feel like I tried to do the right thing. You know what, OP? You tried to teach her a lesson, and she got herself into someone's backyard and got attacked by a dog. Your plan backfired, you're the a-hole for putting her in that spot, even though it was unintentional. I mean, there is a lot of blame to throw around here. What the hell was she doing, skipping through people's backyards? That's just stupid, but she's young and I don't blame her. So what I'm trying to say, it's not completely your fault she got attacked by a dog, but you put her in a situation where she could have been kidnapped, she could have been taken, who knows what's going to happen to this kid. It really sucks that this happened because of you not being there to pick her up. As much as waiting an hour every day at school sucks, it's what you have to do sometimes. You have to protect the kid. It sucks, you know, we can find solutions. You can just run into that school and drag her out if you want, but abandoning her is not the answer, so you're the a-hole. You're the a-hole. I waited until around 7 p.m. You're the adult. That is more than letting her sweat. That could make someone freak out. Of course she wouldn't wait for you for 4 hours. Does that justify her behavior? No. She's clearly got issues, but she's 13. Your husband should be listening to you more because it's clear what she's doing is disrespecting you completely, so you need to be a united front. But regarding this specific thing you're mentioning, you're the a-hole. Yes. If she's consistently showing up at 3:45 to 4, and that's when OP arrived, I would have totally said not the a-hole. The really over-the-top thing, though, is that she also did not even bother to call her for 4 hours. Leaving her standing there for 4 hours is insane. The kid should have told the school that there was nobody to pick her up, and she could not reach the person supposedly in charge of her. Evil stepmother might have gotten a nice educational visit from CPS. I hope the daughter does get the school involved if it happens again. That's what I said. I work at a school, and if we had a child still there when we were leaving and we couldn't get a hold of their parents or guardians, the next call would have been to the police and CPS. A 13-year-old can leave school without someone to collect them. She walked out to walk home. The school isn't at fault here. Exactly. You're the a-hole. What you did was put a child in an unsafe situation purposely as retaliation. You are all lucky nothing worse happened to her. It is reasonable to be upset when a child doesn't respect your time, but you are still required to act from a place of love when punishing them. This means you must communicate using words. I would have divorced you honestly. Such casual disregard for a child's well-being just for petty revenge? Your way of dealing with this conflict is immature. Grow up, accept responsibility, and allow them the space to be angry and disappointed with you. Stop defending yourself. And ask yourself if you can really love this child and commit to acting with love no matter how upset you are. If you can't, you need to leave. Edit to add, you lost your right to complain about her behavior when you did this. Therapy right now needs to be about you hearing the ways you have betrayed their trust and trying to find ways to rebuild it. Drop your complaints, listen, apologize, try to make amends and rebuild trust. You are not well placed to be an arbiter of good behavior and need to drop all criticism of her in therapy. Get yourself in order, lead by example, and let your husband handle all correction for now. Posted by user ExpressMuffin4504, titled, Am I the a-hole for saying I was glad my brother is dying? Long story short, my brother slept with my ex-fiancée. Thankfully no children were involved, so there were no obligations, but I never forgave him since I have massive trust issues that have affected every subsequent relationship. Now I just don't date, and honestly, I don't really blame women for not wanting to date my insecure ass, since I wouldn't either. I cut off contact with him and tried to make everyone else in my family do it too, and they agreed. I also destroyed any family photos on the internet and off the internet, so it was like he never existed at all. I got a call from his lawyer, and he said that he was diagnosed with terminal cancer and that he was dying and would like to make amends with everyone that he hurt, especially me. I told the lawyer I'm glad he was dying and he will live with the crappy thing he did for the rest of his life, and that I'll never forgive him since he ruined my life. The lawyer gave me the details anyway, like I'm going to go, and advised that I should consider seeing him anyway. After this interaction, I told everyone what had happened, since I thought they had the right to know, and they asked me if I would see him, and I said no, and that I'm happy that he is dying. My mother shouted at me, saying that I'm a bitter a-hole, and that I need to get over it, and he has probably changed, and that I was being unfair. My sister said similar things to me, but I don't think he deserves closure, and the only way I'd go is to let him know that he isn't forgiven, and they got angrier, and said that I was an a-hole and hung up. Honestly, the thought of seeing him angers me, so I don't think I did anything wrong. Am I the a-hole? This is probably one of the hardest ones to comment on that I've seen before, because, logically everyone would think, he did do you wrong, but he's dying, so we got to give him that final send-off if you would like. But at the same time, everyone's different. Everyone processes things differently, and I'm not one to judge you for choosing one way or another. Especially when it's something of this degree. I mean, he just destroyed your relationship there, just completely broke down what you had built up there. And it's, in your mind, it's written off relationships anytime in the future. I understand where this anger is coming from, and I understand if you don't want to make amends and you just want to let them die. That's really grim, but it still makes you an a-hole regardless of whether it's justified or not. Your brother is an a-hole for doing that to you. I'm not sure if there's any coming back from this one in the end, but everyone sucks here in this situation. He did an incredibly crappy thing, but you're the one that ruined your life. Adding on that you need to take ownership of your own reactions and feelings. Being cheated on isn't why you haven't dated successfully. You should see a therapist. He's decided not to date because of his insecurities due to this. You're just making a personal attack to make him feel bad for not dating. Why is he obligated if he's not ready? Telling someone to seek therapy and that they need to own their own actions and feelings isn't a personal attack, and thinking that it is, or that it's motivation for someone to feel bad, is telling. You're the a-hole. There is never a reason to tell a mother that you are glad her child is dying. It doesn't matter what he did, that is beyond cruel. The fact that you would do that to your own mother is absolutely disgusting. If you don't want to see him, you don't have to. If you don't want to forgive him, you don't have to. But he didn't ruin your life. You were doing that on your own by letting hate eat you up. It's like the old saying, you drink poison and expect the other person to die. OP's hate only harmed himself. What his brother did was crappy, but at some point one must pick up the pieces and move on with life, because life is too damn short to spend it hating. Isn't his brother dying though? He's actually happy that he's dying. Your quote literally doesn't apply. OP is drinking the poison. After his brother is dead, OP will still hate him and still not move on. He says he's happy, but no, he won't be. Yup, brother and his feelings won't exist much longer, but OP is going to carry that crap for his life if he keeps it up. The hate will still be there. It'll transfer to something else. Seems like it's already moving to OP himself. He's already shaking himself for the feeling he has regarding the situation, despite all of them being valid. But he's holding on to them for whatever reason. It's becoming who he is, more so than an event he experienced. Posted by user Number Pitiful. Titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to take my girlfriend's pregnant friend to the hospital? Backstory is that my, 28 male, girlfriend's, 25 female, friend, 24 female, has always hated our relationship. I've been with my girlfriend for 3 years. At the beginning, her friend made it clear she did not like my guts. She would make passive-aggressive comments about me even while we were dating. Her friend would even introduce her to other guys. When we finally got together, her friend would blatantly make up things like, OP thinks you're getting bigger, or deliberately misconstrue things that I said to make them negative. I've tried to make amends with her and include her in group activities, but I've stopped trying a long time ago after she kept backstabbing me. So I do not like her friend, and I avoid her whenever I can. And while my girlfriend understands, her friend apparently was there for her in the past when her parents got divorced and whatnot, so she doesn't want to ditch her as a friend. FYI, as a disclaimer, her friend is the type of girl that dyes her hair blue and has a Twitter account that lists her gender, and is also where she gets into arguments frequently. That type of girl that most guys want to stay away from anyways. On to the topic. She got pregnant roughly 9 months ago, and also ended up getting kicked out of her apartment a month ago. She was homeless, and since my girlfriend and I live together now, my girlfriend begged me to put aside my differences with her and let her stay with us for a bit. I relented because it meant a lot to my girlfriend, but I made one condition. I do not interact with her at all, to which she agreed. For the most part, I've kept out of her way, but occasionally I've heard a few snide comments about me from her friend. It's whatever. My girlfriend is out of the house from morning until 6 p.m, so she wasn't here when this happened. On Monday, her friend started screaming out for me that she thinks that she's having the baby. I told her, then call an ambulance, but her friend didn't want to pay for the ambulance cost. I told her that there is nothing I could do, and I am not driving 15 minutes to the hospital. She was crying and begging me, but I simply refused. Again, she had a phone, she could have called an ambulance. She ended up texting my girlfriend about what was happening, and my girlfriend blew up my phone asking me to take her. I told her that we agreed that her friend and I stay out of each other's way. Long story short, my girlfriend ended up coming back from work to take her to the hospital. Her friend is still at the hospital with her new son. My girlfriend got into an argument with me. I told her that I made it clear from the start that she agreed to my condition. Now people, understand, there was a lot of bad blood between me and her friend over the years, and I barely scratched the surface in my backstory. I feel like I sacrificed a lot by letting her stay with us, and I feel like that doesn't make me an a-hole, but my girlfriend says I should have made an exception, so maybe that makes me the a-hole. I think you know you're the a-hole here, OP, but you're trying to justify it as righteous hatred, and you have the right to tell her, screw you, I do what I want, I'm not listening to you. I'm not sucking it up and driving you to the hospital when you're pregnant, 'cause I hate you. Gah. This whole thing just oozes of toxicity on your half. I know she's a terrible person, but come on. Even if I hated someone, I'd still drive them to the hospital if they're pregnant and having the baby. Those ambulance costs are damn expensive. I've seen those. Dear Lord, how do you guys afford that? So, unfortunately, this makes you the a-hole, OP. You're the a-hole. Dude, come on. Whatever your grievances with her, the baby did nothing to deserve you letting your grudge potentially affect its well-being. Besides, if you really have that much of a problem with her presence, it's past time for you to put your foot down with your girlfriend and insist she make other arrangements. You don't get to agree to help her out and then not actually help. I'm with you until your last sentence. OP didn't agree to help her with medical or pregnancy needs. OP agreed to help her by allowing her to live in OP's home instead of her being homeless, and OP did so. That doesn't give OP extra obligations to help with anything needed. Pregnant people are perfectly capable, and it's weird she didn't have a plan for how going into labor and getting to the hospital would work for her. That said, as you said, it is an a-hole move to not assist a pregnant woman roommate get to the hospital. Edit to add, not sure whether I need to clarify or not, but my entire point was agreeing to help a person with one thing does not mean you agreed to help them with anything. I'll add that this sub usually seems to think people aren't obligated to help roommates, particularly those who are treating you horribly and could choose to help themselves. So, regardless of whether you like them, agree with them, whatever, this is a matter of being a decent human being. I have on occasion helped a friend of a friend, or an acquaintance, neighbor, co-worker, with an emergency because it's simply something you do to help make your society a better place to live for everyone. That said, there are people I wouldn't give a glass of water in the desert to, but nothing in this story seems to rise to that level of hate. You're the a-hole. Posted by user, My Daughters Am I the A-hole? Titled, Am I the a-hole for going off on my 27 male sister, 32 female, when she criticized me for having a baby out of infidelity? I have a 2-year-old baby girl who is in my life right now. She was conceived out of wedlock, and after I had an affair with my then fiancé. I got the girl pregnant and kept this secret until a few weeks before my daughter was born. Once she found out, my then fiancé dumped me, of course. I was going through some things at the time, so the girl I cheated with wasn't much of a class act. She ended up in jail about 7 months later, and will be there for a very long time for child endangerment and cocaine possession. Luckily, my daughter is only in my hands now. My daughter being a result of my sleeping around is kinda like the elephant in the room. Most of us never talk about it, because frankly it's embarrassing for me, and I'm not sure if I ever want her to know how she was made. I say most people because my big sister loves to bring up how awful I am. She got divorced from her high school sweetheart 5 years ago because he cheated on her multiple times. She's bitter and is now taking it out on me and my daughter. 2 Sundays ago, we had a family dinner with her kids, my daughter, our parents, and our youngest sister. Before dinner, we were chilling in our living room. After talking for a while about how we want our kids to grow up, she said, "Well, let's hope your daughter grows up more like your girlfriend than her mommy or daddy." I asked what was wrong with me, and she said that my daughter was going to have tons of men that want her someday, so she needs to learn to not run around on her partners. And obviously I can't teach her that. I was offended, but I let it slide, because she likes to say stupid things like this a lot. When we finally sat down to eat, she was still cracking jokes at my expense. The final straw was when she told my girlfriend that if we get engaged, she'd better get ready for another baby, because Mr. Manwhore over there might want to slip into another druggie behind another fiancé's back. I was incredibly ticked off. My girlfriend hates hearing about this, and I don't like her having to think about how much I messed up 2 years ago. I also feel like it implies that I'm ashamed of having our daughter from that situation, which I am not. I told her she needed to stop acting like a BR. She told me she would if I learned how to keep it in my pants. This escalated into a yelling fight over dinner. Eventually, I got fed up with this and decided to leave with my party. While getting up, my mum told me that I was acting immature and needed to start thinking like an adult and not argue with my sister. This set me off even more, and I left without saying a word to my family. Since that night, I've gotten calls and messages saying I needed to give an apology, and I have refused every time. My girlfriend says I reacted too harshly, but she understood where I came from. I haven't talked to my sisters since. Am I the a-hole? Edits. Okay, I left this out, but at a point in my life, before me and my current girlfriend got together, I may have been a serial cheater. I have cheated on every girlfriend or partner I've been with, except my girlfriend, at least once. I had some severe self-worth problems and emotional issues. I screwed up, and I hate to say this, but I didn't learn my lesson until I cheated on 2 other girls between my ex-fiancé and current girlfriend. But I have changed for the better. Yikes, that's really not something you want to hear. This is a mess, this man. His life is a mess. I mean, I can't blame the sister for having a go at him, because it's obvious he took so long to learn his message. It's probably warranted for the longest time that she kept having shots until he did learn his lesson. So I genuinely and definitely can understand why she was so pissed off at her brother for continuously making this same mistake and knowingly hurting so many people. But that said, I think she really did choose the wrong time and place to be starting that argument and upsetting even more people all over at the dinner table. Not a good thing to do. She's an a-hole for choosing that fight there. You're an a-hole for blowing up and reacting and not calming the situation down and moving it away from the kids and the family. Everyone sucks here for their actions they've taken, but you suck more OP for your continuous history and hurting so many people, and it's hard to forgive someone for doing that. So everyone sucks here, leaning on you're the a-hole OP. Everyone sucks here. Your sister clearly has issues of her own and is taking them out on you. Crappy move roping your girlfriend into it as well. She's definitely the bigger a-hole. I disagree. That said, the thing she's taking an issue with, your cheating, is a valid point. You don't recognize or acknowledge your poor decisions in stepping out on your then fiancé, nor do you plan to address this eventually with your daughter, who will most definitely have questions as she gets older. Your actions have had consequences for more than just you. Either your daughter will find out about this as she gets older, or your entire family will continue to indefinitely lie to her. That's a position your choices put them in. Eventually, I think you'll find that this isn't something you can just sweep under the rug and forget about. By the looks of it, your sister at least isn't going to shut up about it. Consider what, if anything, you plan to tell your child when this inevitably comes up in the future, before she hears it from someone else. Edits. I made this comment before OP's replies and post-edits. While I stand by an everyone sucks here judgment for this situation, I have to say, OP is a monumental a-hole in general, and this incident was obviously a match for a shed full of dynamite. OP, you have hurt many people multiple times, and you don't deserve a judgment in good faith. You saying you have changed is laughably inadequate. You haven't had enough time to prove it. In a pandemic no less, and there is very little reason to believe you. At this point, I'm even more worried for your daughter. There is no precedent in your behavior that suggests you won't fail her like every woman in your life. You already have by bringing 2 women into her life and then cheating on them. For her sake, I really hope you'll prove me and everyone else in this comment section wrong. But if there was ever a case of I'll believe it when I see it, it's yours. The girl I cheated with wasn't much of a class act. You're not much of a class act either, sweaty. Everyone sucks here. Your sister for raising a stink in front of other people and talking crap about an innocent child, and you for wanting to hide from your daughter the truth about her conception. Alright guys, that's where I'm going to end today's video. I really do hope you enjoyed it, and maybe even learned something that you didn't know before. If you haven't already, please do feel free to click that like button, as it really does help me in the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't already and you love today's video, please feel free to subscribe. I would love it a lot. Also, big shout out to all my Patreon members and channel subscribers. You guys are all up on the screen right now. I love you. I love your faces. Also, I love seeing you guys all chatting down below in the comments. It brightens my day to see the stories that you guys share and just the kind words you guys always have for my videos, as well as everyone else in the videos. I love you too. But honestly, your ongoing support means the world to me, and I just love it so much that you guys are able to support a career for myself that I invest so much time into. And you guys honestly motivate me to work harder each and every day to put more love into the videos for you guys. If you guys have watched this far in the video and you haven't already subscribed on Patreon or become a channel member, that's cool, you don't have to, but there are links down below. You can donate any amount of money, pledge that any month, cancel whenever. I'm completely cool with it. It's just there for you to support me if you'd like to go the extra mile. And I'll go the extra mile for you guys by putting out new amazing content every single day. With that said guys, I really hope you have a good day, night, sleep, bath, time at work, whatever you're up to today. This has been Markee. I'll see you in the next amazing video. Bye.